Hey, everybody. This is Kelly Blackman at How to Win at Everything. I'm sitting here with Temanté Leary. Um, we're going to go into a really quick showing of my cheesy intro, and then we're going to come back and talk to this guy.
Have you ever wondered why you struggle to find success or fulfillment or lasting happiness? It's probably because your default wiring is set to lose. The How to Win at Everything podcast looks at real people who have struggled with the same insecurities, fears, doubts, and expectations and found a way to succeed. Why? Their brains are rewired for success. We dive into their thought patterns to show you how to rewire your own brain to win at everything.
All right. Thanks so much. That was my cheesy intro. It took me probably 4 days to do that. All right, so I want to jump in really quickly and bring up you guys first before we get started. Uh, Anytime we have one of our guests on, feel free to jump into the comments. You'll usually see any of the information that our guests are promoting or anything like that. So please feel free to jump in, ask any questions. We're always glad to really get more people involved in this. So I got my brother Monte in the house. Let me just say, we met. Uh, it was during one of those panels, and I remember you were talking, and you were like, yeah, so so I'm a lawyer. And you're like, yeah, and I'm a professor. It's like, wait, and I got my doctorate and my MBA, and I was like, wait, what? I must have heard this wrong. So can you give us a quick laydown, a breakdown of what all you do?
Sure. No problem. Thank you for having me, Kelly. Good to be on here. Good to talk to you, man. Good to see you again.
Yes, sir.
My background is basically an intersection of law, business, education, tech, if you want to kind of describe that broadly.
Mhm.
And then, of course, as far as what I do, I very early wanted to be a lawyer.
Mhm.
I was inspired by actually the O.J. Simpson trial.
Hmm.
Johnny Cochran in particular, who actually one of my fraternity brothers, Kappa Alpha Psi. Rest in peace, Johnny Cochran, but hugely inspired by the whole Dream Team. At the time, Robert Kardashian, who's, none of them are alive except for Shapiro. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that I made the decision early and stuck with it to pursue law. I attended the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I'm a proud Tar Heel. After graduating with my political science major, I went on to law school. And I came to Miami in 2005 for law school. That was the only reason I came to Miami, not to party. I applied to schools all across the country, and I like kind of telling people, why did you choose St. Thomas University School of Law? A tier 3 school. What out of all your places that you could have gone, why there? On my visit to St. Thomas University, the dean at the time, Dean George Sheldon, looked me in the eyes and was like, we really want to increase our the number of Black males that graduate from our program. They graduate from St. Thomas University School of Law. And, we would love for you to attend, in that vein. And we're also going to give you a scholarship that is that's going to be merit-based. So depending on your academic performance, you can, renew your scholarship. This is a private Catholic law school, so it's definitely not cheap.
Yeah.
It's the mere fact that, here I had this, older white man, salt and pepper hair, wrinkled skin, look me in the eyes and tell me that after, visiting, multiple institutions. And this was in 2005. So this was back before this whole, movement that we see now as far as supporting, Black professionals and inclusion and diversity and feels like the legal profession. So I was completely blown away. That was enough for me to commit to St. Thomas University. After my first year, I made the decision to also attend business school at the same time as getting my doctorate in law school.
You were just bored, huh?
I made the crazy decision to do that. And as you all, can see, I'm also an entrepreneur. So I've always had a passion for business and a business acumen. So most law schools do have a JD MBA program, a joint degree program. St. Thomas is no different. And after my first year, I started the program and ultimately graduated in 2009 with an MBA. At that time, I was 28. So I came out, 28 years old with a master's and a doctorate. And I turned, well, it was right before my 29th birthday, but technically I was 28. And, I got an opportunity to work at a variety of different law firms. Ironically, the time I came out of law school was during our last recession. So in 2009, we were going through what we're about to go through again. And I think we did that, but it's just going to be in a different way, where it's going to be tenants and it's going to be leases, right? This time it's going to be millions of people, unfortunately, that are getting evicted. Whereas when I came out in 2009, it was with mortgages and foreclosures because people were approved for homes they never should have been approved for as far as their financial. So it's kind of ironic that here we are in another, and it hasn't even happened yet because of the extensions with the eviction moratoriums. But lawyers, real estate lawyers they'll tell you it's about to be like nothing that we've ever seen. That being said, at that time I worked in real estate law. And so I was very busy doing, I worked on both sides of the V. I worked in real estate, or I should say I worked on the foreclosure defense side, helping homeowners stay in their homes when obviously they are unable to pay their mortgages. We were able to keep people in their homes for up to 48 months, believe it or not, no mortgage payment, with the different foreclosure defense strategies. And then I also worked with the banks as well, helping them, get the properties to become performing assets again with people who couldn't pay their mortgages. And that's where most of my legal experience lies. And as far as real estate law and litigation. After a few years of kind of seeing what that was like, I got into education in 2011. The end of 2011, going into 2012, I always knew I wanted to teach. I knew I couldn't do it. I knew I needed to do it in higher education because I don't have patience to do it at the upper level. I can teach adults. Yeah. But I had the patience to be a parent, but to be a teacher, a K, I could do high school seniors, but I knew I wanted to teach at the higher education level. Obviously, you need a master's to teach. It's something that I always thought I would do after practical law. I never thought it would take off how it did. But ultimately, having my JD and my MBA is a really marketable
I can imagine.
Degrees to have in higher education, because all schools are going to have a criminal justice program or paralegal study or a law program, and all schools are going to have a business program. I mean, usually the biggest program is the biggest.
And let me just double check now. You're so along with being a lawyer, you're also teaching, but now you also have your entrepreneurial pursuits. Now tell me about those. What are you doing with those?
Yeah, so you talk about having time. So I don't practice law. That frees up a lot of time. Let me say that. The way I stay connected to law is through teaching. I'm a law professor and a business professor, and I really enjoy it. And it's very fulfilling for me to do that. That is the way that I stay sharp. That is the way I stay on top of everything, just as if I was practicing. But I'm equipping my students to be future paralegals, to be future lawyers, to be future attorneys. And a lot of them actually already are in the profession as paralegals or legal assistants and trying to go to law school. my education passion led me into ed tech, right? Telling my
Mm.
story. Um, it actually started before my app class updates, which I'll talk about in a second, where really I kind of was part of the whole move and the shift to students, doing their work on tablets and using paperless for their books. So the shift to e-textbooks, which happened around, it's crazy because it's a long time ago, not really, right? All this happened within the last decade, but we really saw it roll out pretty hard. The iPads, e-textbooks, and academics around 2012. And that's when I was teaching. At the time, we had Apple come in and train us on how to use different applications with the students and how to use them in teaching, how to, mirror our screen and project our lecture, and all this stuff that I was just like, wow, like,
Yeah.
the time I didn't realize when people were like, how did you get into tech? It was through education. It's through all those different kind of transformations that were going on at the time. I realized, what, I'm really deep into this. Like, I don't even use, I'm using a tablet to do everything.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Look, that brings up a question. Gabe was asking this, and he mentioned, so was law always the goal? And what is the best part of teaching law?
Law was always the goal, Gabe. I decided at about 14, 15 that that's what I wanted to do. And fortunately, I stuck with it. And I say fortunately, just, not to say that it's anything wrong with changing your mind. But if you have that courage and focus from the beginning, then, you don't change your mind, then you can just kind of just do what you got to do. So the only thing I intended to only take a gap year in between Carolina and law school. That ended up turning into years because I went abroad and did some things, but I don't have any regrets about that. And as far as teaching was always the goal, teaching law was not necessarily always the goal, because I just never really, it became the goal, right? After
So you kind of fell into it once you get it.
I could use, my degrees in that way. But initially it was just to teach, right? I knew I wanted to do it. I did a lot of tutoring, more than you can imagine. And that's that. And I actually, that played a big part in my first teaching role, because that was my teaching experience. And that's what I had to speak to, what teaching experience do you have? And I had to speak to my experience. Not only, go ahead.
So what is the best part of teaching law then?
Well, I like teaching law and business. I love teaching business law, right? Business
You got
law
a
is the
preference?
intersection of the two. Business law is the intersection of the two. And it gives me the opportunity to really go really into everything, because even in business law, we talk about criminal law. In business law, we talk about civil law.
Sure.
In business law, we talk about in business law, we talk about everything.
Okay.
So and we can do it in a business context, and make it relevant in a business context. So that's probably my favorite class to teach.
Okay.
Realistically, you can't do it in one. There's a business law 1 and a business law 2. It's that. So you do need to teach it the whole thing. You need, more than 8 weeks. But
So okay. Now so we covered your education, moving into. No, that's right. We didn't get into the actual business. Okay.
So back to the answer. So that led me to co-found, just that passion for education, that passion for technology, led me to co-found Class Updates, which I'm the CEO and co-founder of. I have 2 other co-founders, 3 of us. Class Updates actually was started out of frustrations of students not getting important notifications and information related to their classes. You'll see, if you ever see like me, like pitch or in our deck, one of the things you'll see is like an image of a student that's like, oh no, not again, class is canceled. And that's because it was inspired by one of our friends who took the time to go all the way to class, drive across town, only to see a note on the board that the class is. And we were like, man, this is happening in 2017.
Wow, that recent.
to communicate, with the students, at least in real time. Of course, we got email, but, and so the original idea for class updates was actually, we were going to call it class cancel. And we expanded on that idea, of course, to make it beyond just class cancellation. So class updates was formed. Class updates is a hybrid application, meaning we are in both apps. We're on Apple, we're on Google Play.
And what exactly what exactly is class update
class
doing?
updates? Yeah, definitely. Class updates is a real time. Class updates is a mobile communication application for professors and students to stay in touch and communicate with each other. And ultimately, our database has every college, university, and high school in the country. So we are going for the more higher education, more mature learner, if you will. Our target is higher education, although again, we do have high schools as well. And essentially, the way it works is very simple. The professor or teacher will create their class in the app or their group. And once they do that, on the student side, the students will add their school, create their profile, and the professors create a profile as well. Once they do that, they'll be able to find the teacher's class. Once they search the school and all of the other professors as well, they'll be able to see who's teaching in their classes. They'll join, Miami for you. They'll join the courses, I should say, or subscribe as we call it.
Right.
Just with the touch of a button. And then at that time, they're connected to the teacher, and the professor is connected to the students with real-time mobile communication using push notification technology. So those numbers are needed. We do have the ability for one of the unique features that we have for the user profiles is for them to be able to add links to social media. So my students, in my profile, they'll see a little bit in my bio, but they'll also see my LinkedIn profile link, my Twitter, and they can connect with me there. And that's intentional. And there's a lot of other unique features as well. Of course, we have an in-app chat. Students are able to submit their work or submit documents, etc. So it's got a lot of functionality.
Okay, so it's kind of a full service connection between the student and the faculty. All right,
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And I'm currently using it with my students now. Nice. Which puts me in a really unique position as a founder to actually be able to use the product with not only my students, but
talk about some beta testing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay, now hold on, because I want to get into your story, but I want to also mention that you have something else you're working on too. And what is that? Another entrepreneurial pursuit?
Yeah, so I'm a co-founder of Black Men Talk Tech. As you say,
there you go.
Yep. And we launched. We've been up for almost 2 years now. Over 2 years. Black Men Talk. We're an entrepreneurship collective of founders. There's 4 of us. All of us are tech founders ourselves. We came together to form Black Men Talk Tech. Really, my inspiration was our sister organization, Black Women Talk Tech. They've been around for about going on 6 years now. We're going on the year 2. I happened to go to school with one of their co-founders, Lauren Washington, who went to Carolina with me. We both had similar paths in that we went to Carolina. We both pursued business school and got our MBAs, and we both became tech founders. So I saw what she was doing with Black women and Black Women Talk Tech, and I was really inspired by it. So I reached out, and initially I was like, I want to do something similar for Black men. It wasn't at that time going to be called Black Men Talk Tech because I was just wanting some help, right? From considered at that time the experts in kind of the Black tech conference space. They were, very elated to say the least that I had the idea and wanted to support me. The timing was awesome. Apparently, there were a lot of other Black men that were kind of wanting them to do it and asking them to do it, and they were saying, "Hey, we're going to keep it authentic to Black women, so we're not
Yeah,
going to do
yeah.
it.
So keeping their
Why don't you do it?"
yeah.
Yeah, so they were like, "Why don't you do it?" And then so I come along out of the blue, and I'm like, "Yo, I want to do this." And so clearly, match made in heaven there. At the end of the day, I knew I couldn't do it on my own. And that's something that they emphasized as well, that I needed to get a team together in order to be successful. So I brought on my first co-founder. His name's Evan Leapart. He's a co-founder. He's got an app called Kitty Credit that teaches kids about credit.
Hmm.
And then we linked up with our other two co-founders, AJ and Boris, Abiodun and Boris, who are also tech founders. They're
And
out of
and
New York.
and
Go ahead.
and let me ask you now. What's going to be the purpose of the group? What is the collective doing?
Yeah. So yeah, that our purpose. So that's a background about all of us. We are trying to normalize the narrative of the Black tech founder, what a Black tech founder looks like, what it looks like for a Black founder to raise $1 million, to be able to successfully grow and scale their startup companies, to highlight the struggles that come with only 1% of venture capital going to Black and Indigenous people of color and minorities like myself in the tech space. To put on our annual conference, which is what we have events throughout the year, but it all culminates into an annual conference that we have. We had to do it virtually this year, obviously due to COVID. And our conference is for everybody. It brings together everybody. Obviously, the theme is Black Men Talk Tech, but it is definitely for everyone, all races, cultures, nationalities, who are supportive of what our mission is.
Uh-huh.
And we're finding that a lot of people are supportive of our mission. To and it, it's the kind of the impact that we want to have is allowing people the ability to network, the ability to connect with investors, the ability to learn important information that's going to help them be successful during this kind of lonely entrepreneur startup journey. Right?
Well, now
Yeah.
that bridges into so many of the things I want to kind of discuss with you because one is obviously a very underrepresented group, Black men specifically in tech specifically, and we know that there's a wide breadth of people who are doing this, but yeah, there seems to be a real lack of visibility. Let's call
Mhm.
it that, lack of visibility. And we understand that to be it, you got to see it. So I commend you on that. But then that brings me into this next thing that you're doing. There's a lot of community activism that you're doing. There's a lot of. I saw something you posted last week where you're talking about. So I'm sorry. Let me bring in the fact that you work full time also with Microsoft in the ed tech side, right? So
I do. Yes, I do.
and I believe you are bringing up for anyone who doesn't know, Microsoft does own LinkedIn, and what Microsoft and LinkedIn have done is to for the most on-demand jobs or high-demand jobs, uh, LinkedIn has made them free. So the training form and that sort of thing. Can you talk about that just a little bit? Because I know that's a part of your community activism too.
Yeah, most definitely. And another part of just my individual mission and to just Black Men Talk Tech and beyond is to introduce tech to minority communities in particular,
Hmm.
uh, and how it can be leveraged, how it can be beneficial, but also how it can lead you to a career as well with a company like
Right.
Microsoft or Google or Apple. Um, we are focused on I think the 10 most in-demand jobs we have identified at Microsoft
Hmm.
were the 10 most in-demand jobs for the future when it comes to digital tech, literacy and tech training. And based off of those jobs, we have like something like 80,000 hours. I mean, don't quote me on it, but too many to even keep track of hours of training that
And
are
that's
free.
all in LinkedIn Learning, right?
It is.
Yep.
Yeah. This is available until March 31st. So you still got about 3.5 months to take advantage of this. LinkedIn Learning is usually a paid service. So I encourage everybody to definitely you can get a job based off of it, especially
Your
nowadays.
information. Yeah.
And your certification is not necessarily just where you went to school, or there are a lot of jobs even where you don't have to have a formal college degree.
Yeah.
And even at Microsoft, that holds true, which is one of the things I
Nice.
like about Microsoft. Now, of course, that's not every job, but just the fact that they do have
Yeah.
opportunities for people who may not have attended, college or university, but have, their high school diploma and have,
And that expertise.
have that expertise, their coding
Yeah.
expertise, or their, whatever it might be, web building or website, whatever it might be, right? That can be leveraged with, in big tech. So
I think that's awesome because I'm a big fan of
or not to cut you, but
Okay.
coding schools as well. Like, there's huge value in, okay, I went to high school and then I went to a coding school for 9 months, and then now I'm ready to go. Right.
That makes sense, and it's big right now.
Yeah, I need to go to college or university. So
Look, let me tell you, man. This is how expansive your your expertise and your experience is. It took the first half of the show to talk about everything that you're doing right now, right? So, look, that's how much it is. So here's what I want to do. I want to backtrack a little bit. You said that it was around the age of 14 you figured out you wanted to do law. Let me
yeah.
just tell you, man. At 14. No, it's probably not even a good thing. I'm trying to think about any of the things that I can even mention on the World Wide Web that I wanted to do at 14, and probably none of them were nearly as good as law. I think I wanted to be a race car driver at one point because I like driving fast. What do you think, man? Has like what is significant, or what did you start off in your brain that basically says I want to do this and you stuck with it? Was it people around you, or what was
Yeah,
that?
that's a great question, and it hugely inspired by my godfather, Michael Bennett, who I don't know if he's watching. He's still definitely very successful.
Mm-hmm.
A Duke, former
Mm.
Duke. Not keep in mind now, this is a black man,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm a young black boy, and this is my godfather who played for Duke
Mm.
football.
Okay.
Had an opportunity to go to the NFL. Was a great player at Duke. Also attended either GW or Duke Law as well. I think he
Mm.
might have went to George Washington, but regardless, he had a lot of success when I was young. And yeah, he spoiled me with the birthdays and the, holidays, and he was kind of that one that kind of stood out with the really nice gifts, and his success did stand out. I'm not gonna
Mm.
lie. He
Mm-hmm.
was a government contract attorney,
Okay.
and you're talking about a government contract attorney for BAE, for Northrop Grumman. Right?
Okay. Okay.
I don't know, but if we know industry, that's as big as it gets, right?
Yeah.
Even to be a minority at this time,
Yeah.
working for those companies,
What?
and he was a VP, right? He was in the president, so
Wow.
hugely inspired by his black success. Let's just call it what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Hugely is it definitely was a form of mentorship as well.
Yeah.
And again, the combination of that coming up in my adolescent tweener years, and
Mm-hmm.
then once I became a teenager, again, I told you I was very, very influenced by the O.J. Simpson trial, really, because that was, I think, one of the first times reality TV
Yeah.
was really just mainstream everybody, like even
Mm-hmm.
kids, teenagers,
Yeah. Everybody.
and
Yeah.
and you either gravitated toward it or you didn't. I gravitated towards it. I gravitated towards watching the trial every day. Watching someone who I grew up idolizing and admiring,
Yep.
seeing if they were gonna
Yep.
win the case, if they were gonna lose the case, if they were gonna get,
Oh wait, you're talking about the lawyer. I grew up into OJ because
No, I'm talking about OJ. No, I'm talking about OJ. Yeah, I'm talking
Okay. I
about,
think okay.
yeah. No, I'm talking about OJ. Definitely. I'm talking about OJ. But what I'm saying is the intrigue And then
Yeah.
on the other side, his criminal defense team, because at the time I was a kid, so
Yeah.
OJ couldn't do any wrong. Like I was
Yeah.
like, I was wanting people to help him out, right? And I'm 14, so I didn't,
Yeah.
I'm thinking like a 14-year-old. So I'm just like, oh, this football hero, like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm hoping he didn't do it, and I'm just hoping that they can help him. I'm just seeing them as like advocates, right? So that stuck with me. Obviously, we know how the trial went, whatever, and analyzing it now as an adult is completely different.
Right.
But I was enamored. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I was enamored by it.
Yeah.
And then the well-dressed suits, the Johnny Cochran just
Yep.
being on point. With every Shapiro just who's still the only one still around.
Yeah.
That I just loved it. The how eloquent they are, how eloquent they spoke, how well dressed they looked, knowing that they were making the kind of money my godfather was making.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure that helps.
Yeah, I was like, man, I want to do this. And it was just like when kids like, I want to be a doctor, I want to be it's like
See.
they don't realize the really, really the medical right. They're doing it. They're saying that because we want them to do it.
Right.
But they're saying because they hear it's a good profession that you can make a lot of money. They don't really know what kind of doctor, what they really want to do.
See,
So,
now that's the thing that strikes me as really interesting and sort of weird because yeah, I had that too. I was like, man, I want to do this, I want to do that. I didn't stick with any of that. I went to my mother and father were like, well, you're a little bit iffy. They sent me to community college. I was there for 2 classes and I dropped out. So I was like, yeah, not for me. What do you think is unique in your ability or your willingness to stick to doing something like for so long? You went from 14 to pretty much 29. That's like double the time of your life at that point, and you stuck with it.
yeah, I mean, and it helped me in a lot of ways too. Because for me too, it was Carolina or bust. Like I
Okay.
was gonna go to any other school except for the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
Hmm.
Um, and if I would have changed my mind, then that's fine too. But I think just having that focus and just uh, seeing it and then being it just
Okay.
really helped me a lot.
Mm.
I um, I as far as my decisions as far as career wise and everything, I'm just kind of one of a person who when I commit to something, I go 110%. There's usually no change in my mind, which is why I don't like to commit. Carolina, but yeah, I don't like to commit to something unless I'm 110% in. So like my
Gotcha.
decision to pledge my fraternity, I mean, got my little Kappa, that's something else. Like once I decided to do it, that was it. I was inspired by the fact my grandfather's also a member, but
Yeah.
that's just the type of person I am, Kelly. Is when I make my decision up is you might as well go ahead and check it off. It's
I
just a
like that.
matter of time.
I like that. That makes a really good point. And for everyone listening, looking, that's a foundational piece. There's actually research that talks about what predicts success even more than actual talent or fluence in something is going to be the amount of stick to itness you have, the ability to think and envision yourself doing this in the future. And to me, I think that is awesome, man. So
I
let
didn't
me
know that. That's interesting that there's research on that. That's great.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
I'd like
forgot
to
her
read a
name.
little more about that.
Yeah, it's actually there it's called grit. Like there's a whole scale for it and everything.
I think I've heard
And
of
I'm
it.
reading a book about it right now. Um,
Okay.
so okay, now I wanna get into this next stage because a lot of the stuff that you talked about when you're talking about what it is you're doing, what your goals are, you're into this space of community activism, right? It's is leading you now. I'm following you, so I read your posts and everything, and I see how much stuff you're doing. That's more or less like, hey, let's uh, Angela Duckworth. That's who it is. Thanks so much, Trav. Angela Duckworth's book about grit. It's so much that you're doing and talking about social changing social issues and things like that. Look, you got at least 3 jobs at this point. You got 2 companies, you
Yeah.
got 4 kids, if I'm not mistaken.
3 boys and a daughter. Yes, yes,
3
sir.
Man, look,
Yeah.
I got one 16-year-old, man, and I be like, have more kids. Nah, I'm good. Thank you. No thanks. How is it that how let me start off with how do you prioritize what you do? Because there's got to be a juggling act going on all the time.
It is. It is. I can't deny that. Fortunately, with teaching, I'm an adjunct professor, so I'm able to do that. As my schedule allows, and I usually do that in the evenings or on the weekends. So,
Okay.
for example, the class I'm teaching now is a Saturday class. It's on the afternoons and it's online.
Right.
Um, I also have, I teach virtually, so that allows that's very convenient as far as
Yeah.
not having to commute and et cetera. Um, with Microsoft, uh, I work the traditional work schedule, Monday through Friday, and then of course with my entrepreneurial ventures, being the CEO, being the co-founder, I do have wide latitude to kind of get the work done when it gets done.
Yeah.
Um, so like, for example, a real huge focus for me right now with class updates is for us to really penetrate the HBCU space.
Mhm.
I'm really trying to get, and I want to keep class updates free. Even when we have our Shark Tank moment, which hopefully we'll have that one of these days soon, I do want to keep class updates free for all underfunded and underrepresented schools.
Yeah.
And as far as in the Title I schools, if we're talking about in the high school space, and then of course, for me, HBCUs, and I didn't attend the HBCU, but I do feel like HBCUs face a lot of the issues that we see
Mhm. Mhm.
in really in the K-12 space for a lot of the underfunded schools when it comes to equipment, their technology, their really just even their ability that some of them to even stay open, right?
Mhm.
Because just not having the funding. And so my goal is to really put class updates at the forefront and have them first, right? Not last, using our technology. I also think that once we have success in the HBCU space, which I know we will, we can have success in any institution in higher education. So, um,
But let me ask you now, how when you're going through all it, because that's obviously a bigger project than just saying, oh yeah, well we want
yeah,
to. So how are you
well, I'll
prioritizing
pick up
what you're
my
doing there?
time like this evening, right after this call. I've got some emails and I've got some business, so I definitely use my evenings to kind of tend to my other entrepreneurial ventures. If I wasn't on with you right now, I would be doing that. So that's kind of how I balance. And then of course, I do have co-founders. I do have support with both ventures. So
Right,
with all
right.
of us working as a team and all of us focused on what we need to get done, we are able to do that. And that's the unique part about all of us is that we work well together. We're able to get done what we need to get done. There are some sleepless nights, Kelly. I'm gonna keep it real, just like it was when we were in school.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'd be lying to you if I say I didn't stay up sometimes, all times in the night, into the early hours of the morning in order to get things done because I do.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's just kind of the grind that's just the startup grind and the entrepreneur grind that you either built for it or
Right. See, now that's the part that I think is an interesting piece because as an entrepreneur, I get this. Like I am the marketing team. I am the PR team. I am HR. I am everything. And because of that, I know that it really is a grind. It really can grind you down to the point that you start lacking this sort of balance. I know it's been probably three of the things that I saw you on, three of the panels or whatever I saw you on. One I think I was on with you, and I'd hear you like talking to your kids in the background. How 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 do you balance family life? Like, how do you balance having a family? Because 4 kids is a lot of kids, man. Everybody wants attention, that sort of thing. How do you balance that out with doing your work?
Yeah, so great question there too. I definitely make it happen. Definitely on the weekends. I'll definitely use that time, right, for
Hmm.
family time and to spend with my kids. My
Yeah.
daughter, for example, she celebrated her third birthday yesterday.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. Okay. Yep.
we celebrated all weekend, and we did we had a great time. So, weekends is, I would say I definitely take advantage there. I have been able to spend more time with them being at home. We do know, normally kids spend more time at school than
Right.
they spend at home.
Yeah.
And so, of course, the weekends are really valuable. And then, uh, when we do have time during the evenings, pick them up early, or
Hmm.
we'll definitely bond then too. But a lot of times that's doing homework and and such. So I find that as really fun bonding time. To be honest with you, I enjoy
Yeah.
helping them with their work, their tutoring, all of that stuff that comes along with having a 5, 6, and 7 year old.
I forgot too. There's steps, so that's yeah, that's even
Yeah,
more of a challenge.
yeah. And so, I also have been fortunate to be able to work remotely. Not only with Microsoft, but obviously my other ventures. We actually are remote teams,
Right.
and then even prior to I have had the luxury to be able to work remotely, and so that's been very helpful.
Yeah.
We're talking about over the last 7, 8 years, just
Oh
various
man,
very
that is
helpful.
nice.
They were, um, especially after they're born and firstborn and
Yep.
young, being able to be there, be around, or be able to just work remotely, from the
Yeah.
hospital or whatever the situation might be. So I've been able to definitely leverage that, not having to actually be somewhere every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Uh,
It changes the whole thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Look.
And
Uh,
then even the times where over the years where I've worked on legal projects, because sometimes I'll do law stuff here and there,
mhm.
on a project type basis.
Mhm.
A lot of times that work is loose in that I can decide when I want to do it as long as I put in the hours and get it done.
Right.
And so that's, if that makes sense, right? So if I
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to take a day or two off in the middle of the week, or if I want to, you know, go hard, Monday through Wednesday, so I can have Thursday,
Right.
Friday. So having that flexibility is just always, I guess I've just always kind of been lucky like that. My work has never taken me to where I had to be somewhere and I just couldn't be home.
Hmm.
So that's been probably the main thing.
Okay, so now there's a few things that I'm picking up out of this. One, when you're talking about the business ventures, it sounds like it's a case where uh, picking the right team, because having co-founders or having people that you can delegate to or depend on to pull their weight, obviously, that's going to help out a bunch. Because
It's essential. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because if you have to do everything or pick up behind people, I just was working with Marcus Ogden last week, and he was talking about one of the reasons his $1 million business failed was because of the fact that there were people he was counting on who he hadn't vetted really. So, when they fell short, the business fell short.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's a really important tool that you mentioned. One of the other things though is really taking advantage of your time, because if you're saying, like, I know for me, after I do this show, I'll stay up for the next hour and I'll respond to any post about the show and everything. I want to engage with my audience because I love you guys. After that, I'm gonna hop
Love you
on to
too.
right. That's right. After this, I'll also be on Gabe's show because Gabe Lil is my boy and he's got me into this game. So I'm gonna hop on his show and talk some stuff with them. It'll probably be 1, 2 in the morning before I go to sleep.
Mm,
W- One of the things that I think that is really good when you mentioned it is this idea about really making use of that free time. So making use of that time, because this is what I have to do. Um, Wednesdays, I have a religious meeting. Sunday, I have a religious meeting. Saturday is family day. I don't take any work on those times. So I don't care what price you're talking about. I don't mess with those times because that's my God, that's my family. I don't
mhm,
mess with those times. So I really like, man, when you're talking about taking those other times when it's not that and really trying to use them to the full. Now, so let me ask you about this then.
mhm.
Um, when obviously the whole point and the whole idea behind entrepreneurship is to get this growth. How do you think things are going to adjust as you're growing, as you're putting more and more into this?
Well, I'm glad that actually the pandemic has uh, actually helped us at Class Updates.
Hmm.
It's, we have a solution that is connecting, professors and students in a time where
Yeah.
everyone is, in isolation, remote, essentially
Hmm.
a $600 million, $600 billion industry uh,
Hmm.
went online overnight as far as higher education. And so that has actually amplified our significance and, given us increased traction. Um, and building on that, we are definitely seeking seed capital right now at Class Updates. We are trying to grow and scale our company. So anybody on here who is interested in maybe being a seed investor or knows anyone who may be interested in seed investing, please get in touch with me there. Um, I also see, just as far as at Microsoft, for as long as I'm there, I'm definitely going to be continuing to grow career wise there. Um, I have been with Microsoft for about a year and 5 months, 4 or 5 months now. And it's been a heck of a journey, actually, so far. Our entire uh, organization business model has changed
Hmm.
since, since this COVID-19, but it's actually been a model for other organizations to follow because we've had so much success. That being said, my career there could lead into law, it could lead into uh, more on the business side, or it could stay in education. Sky's the limit. It could literally take me anywhere in the world as well. And so that's
Okay.
something for me. Um, of course, we're going to continue to grow and expand Black Men Talk Tech in our conference. We're going to start having different chapters. So coming to a city near you, you all look for that. Um, and, personally, I'm just going to continue to do what I can to have impact. I've got a couple of other things I'm working on that I'm not going to announce yet, but, I try to stay busy, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, I'm trying to grow my team at Class Updates. I just recently hired a Harvard educated Nigerian American brother by the name of Imadi to be my CTO, our CTO at Class Updates,
Hmm.
um, full stack developer out of Harvard, computer science engineer. So I'm going to continue to, our mission at Class Updates is definitely to continue to diversify our team with minorities and women as well. Um, and so I'm very much looking forward to how I can do my part,
Hmm.
uh, in this space that we're in, and continue to create as much impact as I can. I'm going to continue to mentor. I am a member of the teen court here at Miami-Dade through the Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust. I do volunteer with the Youth Action Committee, the Miami-Dade Teen
Hmm.
Court. I
Nice.
had an event with them a few weeks ago, just talking about trying to inspire the youth, keep them, focused, out of trouble, letting them see a Black Microsofty, right?
Yeah.
Um, kind of just to, again, you got to see it to
Wait,
be.
is that what you guys are called,
I mean,
Microsofties?
I think I've heard that before, but actually don't coin that. I don't like to. Don't get the free.
Oh, it's too late, brother. It's too late.
Not,
This on the World Wide Web now.
we can say maybe micros. I was gonna say softy, softer. I don't know if I like that one
It's
either.
it's okay now,
We'll,
man. The world got it.
we'll think
Look, you have to kind of come back on the show again later and replace that one. Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
um,
But look, man. I want to make sure because we're coming close to the end on time. I want to make sure that we get a moment to get like uh, what I would call like let's call it some Tamani wisdom. You are obviously doing a bunch of stuff where I'll be honest with you, man. I don't think most of us are able and or willing to do. So you're wearing a lot of hats. That being said, if you had to give us, let's say, a couple of points to go off of, or how you balance it out, how you make it work for you, what would those be?
yeah, I mean, I make sure to, you know, definitely stay close to God. I try to I meditate.
Okay.
Um, I try to take care of myself, diet wise, fitness wise, which is not as easy as much easier said than done. So I
Yeah.
don't have the time to do it a lot of times. Um, I family time, for me is essential.
Yeah.
Um, and just having and just having me time, as well, just taking the
Mm,
time to have for myself away from even the family and from my own. Um, I do those things and
yeah.
just try to I crave knowledge. So I have a growth mindset. I'm always trying to grow and develop
Yeah.
uh, and learn new things. I am, I guess, one of the things I wasn't gonna say, but I will, I am thinking about taking advantage of the fact that I can get tuition reimbursement through Microsoft
Oh
for
yeah. Oh
for
yeah.
another master's degree. So I may pursue some more education. Not that I need to, but why not? I've always told my students and my colleagues, if you can get a degree for free, then you
Hmm.
really seriously consider that. So that's one of the benefits offered at Microsoft that I have yet to take advantage of. I'm seriously thinking about probably getting a master's in related to uh, education or maybe curriculum and instruction or something like that. But we'll keep you posted there.
Right, right. Look, that all makes sense to me. I do think that it's also a really good thing to point out. You seem to have a desire. You said you crave knowledge. I do think that based on everything you've mentioned, that is a big part of this puzzle. When we start looking at ourselves with how as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, as a mompreneur, as a side hustler, as a CEO, what do I need to do? What mind state do I need to be in? And I do think that you kind of hit it on the head right there when you say you got to crave that knowledge. You got to be in a growth mindset. You have to be willing. So I think that part really, really kind of rings true.
Mhm.
I got one last question for you, man.
Yeah.
Because my boy Gabe Leal always asks this, and I told him I was going to steal it. So you're 90 years old, man. You know you ain't got much time left. How do you know that you lived a good life? What does it look like to you? How do you know if you won?
That's a good question, and I've been thinking about that actually, and I guess for me, I want my work to transcend, me. I want my impact and my work to live beyond myself.
Mm,
Uh, 90 years from now, or I should say, uh, when I'm 90 and I look back, or before I hit the dirt, if I can uh, see, kind of the fruits of my labor, if you will, whether that be through Black Men
yeah.
Talk, whether that be through the work that I, do at Microsoft, whether that be through hopefully class updates,
Mhm.
becoming the next, um, you know, big successful ed tech startup company.
Mhm.
I just want to have an impact that, I can kind of look back and say, I contributed to this and, I was able to do this. And,
Right.
I feel like if I can do that, if I can say that, and if I can help people along the way, then that's probably enough for me to say that I've had an impact that I want.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Everybody, Temanté Leary. Thank you so much, my brother. That was a lot of good information.
Thank
Really
you.
quick, everyone. I want to make sure you all see and know. If you want to get in touch with Tamanti, you can email him at his email address here at Microsoft or at the Class Update app email address. I will put both of these emails and the
Get in
information if you
touch
want
with
to.
me. Get in
Yeah,
touch with
yeah.
me.
Yeah, definitely. He's a good brother, y'all. Y'all definitely want to get in touch with him. Thank you so much for your time and taking an hour out of your time, man, to be with us this evening. Hold on for 1 second. I'm gonna play us out with my cheesy outro, and I'll talk to you backstage.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Ta-da!